What is up, Earthnoids and Spacenoids? I am just a simple new type, and in this episode, we are concluding Mobile Suit Gundam Advanced of Zeta, Flag of Titans. Last time, the team moved to the Gate of Zidane, where they participated in a month-long battle for the colony laser. The Izmir went down, and Elliot was assigned to be the pilot of the TR-6. In the present, Kirishima gave Conrad a lead on where Gabriel Zola might be. This time, Elliot is given his final orders, and he has his last battle with Gabriel Zola. In the present, we hear Elliot's verdict. So let's get into this. Murphy comes to the mobile suit deck even though he is badly injured. He says that he needs to tell Elliot something important. He must not sortie in the TR6. This battle is over. If he launches, it will just drag the fight out longer. This is pointless. Elliot is confused, however, and he knows that he can't disobey an order. However, much of the Titan's high command has left them in the dark, as Bask and Jamatov are dead. As the two talk, someone behind them suggests that they not have these conversations out in the open. It is Captain Otto Peterson. He tells the two to come to his cabin. The captain tells Murphy that he isn't a part of high command and he doesn't make launch decisions. However, after launching, he isn't joining the front lines, but rather destroying the TR6. Captain Peterson is of the same mind as Murphy, but Murphy must be reminded of the picking order. As Elliot runs back to the hangar, he hears Peterson call out for a medic from Murphy. Hendrik tells him that there is no time to add mobile armored components, so he has to launch in mobile suit form. He wonders if destroying the Gundam is the key to winning this war. Elliot launches in the Woundwort. The RX-124 Gundam TR6 Woundwort is the final TR series mobile suit created for the Titans test team. This is the culmination of the TR project and designed to unify the best parts of the TR project. The model integration plan pushed development to be consolidated. This isn't necessarily one singular mobile suit, but a series of modular configurations. At the core of this is the emergency escape pod Primrose 2. The Primrose 2 has autonomous navigation capabilities. Various parts connect to this core using the Bunny's system. I get it. Because of its design, there are an infinite number of configurations, as we will see in Reboot. This culminates in the ultimate configuration known as Inlay. This unit has a subarm, a composite shield booster, and an eye-field generator. Weapons include Vulcan guns, a long beam rifle, and a claw attached to the shield booster. Gabriel Zola is on the front lines and is over this battle. To him, he thinks that Axis got caught up in a power struggle between the Federation. The colony laser means nothing to him. All he cares about is the Gundam. His monitor picks up a new mobile suit. He finds the TR6. Zola leaves the front lines and begins attacking Elliot. Carl finally landed on the Aswan in the Hazel Ausla. He tells Hendrik to refuel as he wants to get back out there. He was separated from Audrey and doesn't know where Murphy or Elliot is. Hendrik tells him that Elliot took off in the TR6. He detoured from the battlefield to the debris field. A Rick Diaz chased after him. Carl knows it is Zola. He wants Hendrik to hurry so he could help Elliot. Carl launches and instantly heads towards Elliot, but he checks behind him and sees the Aswan in flames. He thinks about turning around to help, but it is too late. The Aswan goes down. Zola chases Elliot through the debris field. He is possessed with the Gundam. The captain and Murphy were right. As long as the Gundam exists, people like Zola will always be driven to fight. It must be destroyed. He finds a good spot when he is attacked. It isn't Zola, however. It is 6 Nemos from a Salamis Kai-class ship. Without hesitating, the Woundwort takes out 3 Nemos and does damage to the Salamis Kai. The 3 remaining Nemos retreat. Gabriel Zola, still chasing Elliot, is amazed by the speed of the Gundam that he just witnessed. He fires at Elliot. All Elliot has to do is let him win to complete his mission. He stops in his tracks and the two just sit there in a standoff. Zola finally fires at the Gundam. It takes out the left leg, but Elliot doesn't move. An opponent that doesn't fight back is no fun for Zola. He scans the comms and tries to make contact with him. Elliot didn't touch the controls when he was shot. Zola contacts him. He asks what game he is playing. He tells Zola that his mission is to destroy the unit. He says if he wants the Gundam destroyed, then why doesn't he fight him? Elliot doesn't want to fight him for the reasons it needs to be destroyed. People like him will always lean towards battle when the Gundam is around. Zola fires again and damages the arm. He isn't going to fight back. He locks onto the Gundam, but doesn't fire. Instead, Zola opens his cockpit. Elliot wants him to destroy the Gundam, but his goal is to defeat the Gundam, not merely destroy it with him in it. If his mission is to ensure the destruction of the Gundam, he has to survive to ensure its destruction. He doesn't understand what Zola's true intent is. Zola tells him to come to his cockpit and they can both destroy the Gundam together. The situation is so weird that Elliot just laughs. He heads over to the Rick Diaz. The two hold the controls and fire at the Woundwort, destroying the Gundam. That's hot. On the comms comes Carl's voice saying that he killed Elliot. Elliot tells him that he is alive and in the Rick Diaz. Zola opens the hatch and tells Elliot to go with his comrade. He says to live on. They thank one another and Zola makes his leave. Elliot tells Carl about a secret mission from Captain Otto Peterson. Suddenly, a light flashes through space. The colony laser goes off. A voice comes on the comms. It is Bright telling all remaining Titans to surrender. They aren't going to survive out in space and will have to surrender as well. Carl also decides to blow up his Gundam. He has the Primrose, so they could still make their escape. It's better than it falling into the hands of the AU. February, Universal Century 0088. The battle over the colony laser has come to an end. Of course, we know the damage done to both the AUG and the Titans would give Haman the opportunity to start the first Neo-Zeon War. July, UC 0088. Conrad and Gordon step up to Commodore Milkoff's bench. Gordon says that the defense is stalling with no clear motive and wants swift proceedings. Conrad says that he is trying to find a new witness, but it will take some time. Because of the time it will take, the judge denies his request. He wonders if the Commodore is colluding with Gordon. After all, once that Mark II was stolen by that young lady, the Gundam became the face of the AU, and they might want to distance themselves from all things Gundam. It is clear the military-industrial complex and EFF want to distance themselves. But the question is it the Federation pulling the strings, or is it AE and the military-industrial complex? He has to buy time. Conrad mentions that this is pertinent evidence, but the Commodore says if he can't be summoned soon, then he needs to make his closing arguments. He asks for a short recess before making his final arguments. The judge grants them 1 hour. The team is desperately trying to get a hold of Zola, but he can't be found. Being a former Zeon and AUG soldier makes it harder. Carl asks Kirishima if he still has the article he was going to publish before Michael Chan died. He has it on his phone. He should start sending the article all over the dark web. Maybe it might even get the attention of Zola. At Conrad's office, Joanna was being overwhelmed with calls when she gets a call from someone who remains anonymous that wants to speak to the legal team handling Elliot's defense. She asks if he is Gabriel Zola. He says he will call back later and hangs up. Court is back in session. Gordon gives his final arguments. Without Gordon's testimony, Elliot is most likely to be found guilty. It was the defense's turn to speak. Before starting the argument, he moves to appeal to have the trial open to the public. Everyone in the courtroom gives him a glare. Conrad has the necessary documents for this appeal ready to go. Elliot asks if this is possible. He says it is the only move he can make to delay the verdict from being made. This appeal allows for the court to be adjourned for the day. He tells Elliot to trust him as he heads back to his cell. Conrad has no time to waste. Joanna informs Conrad of the call she received earlier. He tells her to forward all calls to his cell phone. Conrad heads home early to find everyone happy. They found Gabriel Zola and he happens to be in New Carson City. It happened to be the pastor from earlier that helped him get wind of his location. Conrad felt the urge to thank God in that moment. He heads to the shelter to meet up with Zola. As he makes his leave, Joanna calls him. The mysterious man called again, and he forwards his call to his cell. He asks if he is defending Elliot. Conrad wonders who he is. He is in shock upon hearing their name. We cut directly to the next day where the trial picks up once again. Commodore Milkoff denies his request for a public trial. Elliot believes that the death penalty now awaits him. Before his closing arguments, Conrad would like to call a new witness. He calls to the stand Gabriel Zola. Zola tells Conrad that he was an AUG soldier at the Battle of the Colony Laser. His mission was to take down the Titan's Gundam. He says Elliot was the pilot of said Gundam. Zola states that he was under orders to destroy it. Gordon objects, but surprisingly it is overruled by the Commodore. He then mentions that the Gundam would sow doubts on the battlefield and cause more bodies to pile up during the operation. Gordon objects again, this time sustained. He has to focus his line of questioning to the facts and not speculation. If Elliot launched in the Gundam, would this cause more chaos on the battlefield? He says absolutely, as he witnessed the Gundam take out 3 Nemos and a Salamis Kai in a second. Conrad has no further questions. Elliot is amazed that his questioning ended so short. Gordon begins cross-examination. He asks about communication with Elliot. Gordon says Minovsky particle disruption wasn't bad in the Shoal Zone, so they can communicate fine. He asks if he is certain that he fought a Gundam. Zola spent most of his life hunting the Gundam. He is absolutely certain. Gordon ends his line of questioning. However, Conrad has one more witness. He calls to the stand Wes Murphy, leader of the Titans test team. Conrad asks if he was fighting on the same battlefield. Murphy says yes, however, he wasn't by his side. He explains how he told Elliot to destroy the Gundam before Captain Otto Peterson came to officially give him the same order. Murphy happens to have a document of those signed orders. He gives it up for evidence. Gordon doesn't cross-examine Murphy. After a brief recess, they reconvene to hear the verdict. The Commodore gets right into it. On the first charge of involvement in the Colony 30 incident, not guilty. Violating flight regulations with the Ashmar, not guilty. Desertion during the Colony incident, not guilty. Next, destroying a new weapon without authorization, not guilty. Conrad knew that at this point it was most likely a win, but Elliot was more focused than his butthole puckered. Milkoff says that all testimonies referring to the weapon in question as a Gundam remains unverified and won't be entered into the records. That's not sketchy at all. Commodore Milkoff bangs his gavel. This trial is over. Elliot salutes, but Conrad gives him a hug. Murphy tells Elliot that after he was injured, he was sent to Earth and placed under house arrest for the past 5 months. He said once he saw the tabloid, he slipped out to find them. Conrad says his testimony saved him. They have a party later that night to celebrate. The Titans test team is reunited once again. But after tonight, they will all go their separate ways. Carl will head back to the Colony Public Corporation, while Hendrik and Audrey head back to the moon. However, Murphy and Elliot are still enlisted. Conrad needs to find them a post. Joanna pours Conrad a drink. He thanks her as he couldn't have done it without her. Conrad mentions Kirishima is totally into her and she should go talk to him. As she talks to Kirishima, Conrad notes that it's nights like this that he wished could last forever. Elliot receives a summons to headquarters. He is to report to the Earth Federation Forces Officer Academy, the place where he and Carl once studied. He heads there to find Conrad and Murphy. Conrad pulled some strings. Murphy and Elliot are going to be mobile suit instructors. Neo-Zeon is ramping up a new war. It is up to them to help train as many mobile suit pilots to take down Haman's forces. Elliot stands at attention with determination. And that will conclude Mobile Suit Gundam Advance of Zeta Flags of Titans. This was such a fun ride. I know a lot of you love the crazy mobile suits of the Titans test team, but the courtroom drama was the most intriguing part of this all. However, I don't like that everyone was conveniently in New Carson City to testify right at the last moment, but it is a minor gripe. Now that we have concluded Flag of Titans, we will eventually cover AOZ Reboot. But first, we must continue our coverage of Gundam Sentinel. But that will do it for now, new types. Remember, Elliot will go on to train a bunch of amazing soldiers, but Haman will ultimately be taken down by a bunch of kids. Peace.